All right, guys, so how do I know when to pivot my business model? Great question. Now, this is important because pivoting a business model could either mean the death of your business or massive growth. You want to make sure you do the right thing at the right time and it's a calculated move, that you have data to back it up. Otherwise, you're going to run into major problems, and then you're going to be running around, you're going to be changing things around, and ultimately you're going to have a big problem. And so early on in many different segments and episodes of this, we did talk about being able to adapt to change. The faster that you can adapt, the faster that you can take feedback, the faster that you understand and implement that feedback, the right feedback, the faster that your business will scale, will grow, and the more success you'll have. This is one of those. So a business model, you want to make sure that your business model is solid, right? But if it's not working, how do you strategically pivot without throwing away everything else that you've built, right? Because pivoting isn't quitting. It's adapting based on evidence. Excuse me, you might have evidence that comes in that says something's not working, right? You might have evidence that comes in that says lack of sales, lack of consistent sales, or good marketing is present. Now, what are some other common signs that you might get that say that you need to pivot? Well, customers aren't interested in something, slightly it's not working, right? Or ultimately, let's say here that economics of the business, they don't work, right? So the economics of the business don't work and you need to do something different. You have to do something that drives more revenue. You have to have another revenue stream that comes in. Your core group of customers that you are going after, maybe they don't have money, or they're showing something that you didn't expect early on, and you have to ultimately pivot. These are things here that you need to understand, right? And so ultimately, what are different types of pivots that you could see? Well, a product pivot, change what you sell. A certain product that you're going after, a certain market, did well, but it's not doing well anymore. Or an outside change, change that. A market shifted, a law shifted, there's a new ordinance in town that's temporary or permanent, and now you can't sell your product anymore. Maybe a larger company, they did something to release a product where people would rather have that, and it drives the price of your core product down so much that it doesn't make sense to produce the product anymore. These are all different possibilities, and there's thousands and thousands more, but a product pivot could be one of them. Ultimately, there could be a market pivot, changing who you sell to. Maybe the product's great. On the last video, I talked about this. I said, maybe you're selling the product to a certain market and ultimately this market loves it, but there's a whole nother market that product went to and you didn't even know it. One of the famous examples of this was a hand soap that was a dry hand soap made out of sawdust. And they went to a certain market with it. That market loved it, but what they didn't realize is this went to another market in the racing and the auto space, the off-roading space, and they loved it. It was phenomenal. They were going just after mechanics, but there was an entire other market of a different user that loved the product. They ate it up, they couldn't buy enough of it, and so you have another market. The question is, where do you want to park it, right? No, the question is this, where do you pivot? Do you keep the same product line? Is this bringing in enough revenue and then you do some slightly different marketing, a different product package, or do you do a whole new product line? Or same product, you just bring that over to a new market and you're selling it in that market now, and the marketing does that, right? Now, the third thing here, so we had product pivot, we had market pivot, and then we have a delivery pivot. Change how you deliver it. What does that mean? It could mean a couple different things. How you deliver the product. If it's a streaming service or something else, are you delivering it in a different method, right? Certain things that had to pivot were companies that did online videos, and ultimately they went to a streaming service. That was a delivery pivot, right? There's other delivery pivots that you might have to work through. Are you going direct to the customer versus now you go to other resellers that would take your product and put it in part of a package? Cinnabon is like this. They can deliver direct to the customer. However, they found now that certain areas, they don't have locations like they did anymore. They've shut those locations down. They went and they started pairing up with Pizza Hut. I believe it's Pizza Hut where they have Cinnabon with Pizza Hut now, and that's a different delivery that you can get. Yes, it's becoming part of a package now, but they did a delivery pivot on some of their business, right? So how they deliver it was different. Same product, same area, same type of people. They're just going a different route on how they deliver it, right? What you need to do is gather ideal data, before pivoting, right? Don't base it on emotions. I've talked about this in early videos. The last thing you want to do is have an emotional driver on something and you think you're right, but ultimately you're wrong. And I get it. You're the business owner. You know more than anybody else, but you have to be humble with this because unfortunately, no, you don't. I know you're probably like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Your market knows more than you do. And the customer, there's no amount of money that can ever change mass desire. This is proven time and time again in psychological marketing studies, books, and companies that are massive that went cigarette companies that tried to change the mass desire and try to change certain methods of delivery and adoption of certain things with the market when the market didn't have it. And guess what? They lost billions. I'm sure you don't want to lose hundreds of thousands, let alone billions. So just be humble with this and say, I respect my market. My market is going to know best. I have to find the right market, the right product, the right delivery, the right everything. And there could be multiple of those. Make sure that you are humble with that because the ego will end up bankrupting the company later on. So successful pivots, like I talked about, Netflix, they went from DVD to streaming, Instagram, an app for photographers to an app for social media. Here's one of the best ones of all time, YouTube. They went on as originally a dating app. Guess what? They found out that it was people that wanted to have cool videos and fun videos and tutorials and things like that. They did a pivot. They did a market pivot and they went after a different market. It wasn't just girls or boys on dating. It was the general population, broader market, bigger market. They did the pivot and they blew up. You might be holding yourself back because you have not pivoted yet. So think about this. And what's the framework for deciding? It's going to be identify what's working, identify what's not working, and then hypothesize small changes before huge ones. Now, I talked about this before. Change a couple of things. Test out some things before you go to a wide new market. Because if you change something core in your business massively without data to back that up, it's based on emotion, it's based on what you think, and ultimately you could fail in the business. So the key takeaways from this are going to be this. Pivoting is a tool for survival and growth, right? Not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growing. If you're not moving, if you're not changing, if you're not adapting, you're not growing. You want to be growing, you want to be better understanding. So ultimately keep pivoting in your toolbox. Use it at the right time. Rewatch this video to get more details on it. And we have links of resources that come along with this video on chriscraze.com in our tools section, and you can get those resources there. What do we have coming up next? What metrics should I track to measure real growth in the business? This is crucial. We'll see you there.